Okay. So there are a lot of people out there right now who are struggling with mental health issues because of being locked down, shut in, self isolated, quarantined, and just dealing with the coronavirus kind of fallout in general. And I wanted to kind of use this as an example or an illustration of the work that we were talking about last video, which had to do with values and values elicitation. If you haven't watched that video yet, I strongly encourage you to go check it out. I'll put a little, link maybe above here in the video. Check it out because in that video, I'm basically describing to you how to have lasting happiness. And the central idea there is, understanding your values and aligning yourself with your values. So in this video, I wanted to kind of look at the inverse of that and kind of deepen this conversation as I kind of create this series on values work for you. So there's a dark side to values. There's a dark side to any sort of positive process when it comes to being a human being, right? And so that would be true also with values. And so basically, what is a value? A value, in case you didn't watch the last video, is anything that is kind of a deep level, abstract um, thing that is important to you, whether that's an experience or an ideal or a way of being. So some examples of values might be things like love, freedom, compassion, happiness, fun, fairness, equality, truth, these kind of big, broad, deep concepts, right? And for everybody's value system is going to be unique to them. It's going to be different. Now, here's the thing. In the last video, I showed you how you can kind of elicit your broad, generalized, personal set of values in life, right? But values are also something that are contextual. So if you think about it, what's important to you when you're at home is different than what's important to you when you're at work, which is different than what's important to you when you're out for a night on the town with friends, which is different, than what's important to you when you go camping, which is different than what's important to you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So in different contexts, different situations, we have different values that arise in us. So we reorganize what's important to ourselves in these different contexts, right? And usually what you're going to find is that, um, as long as you're able to be in alignment with your values, you will be happy. So what creates happiness is generally living in alignment with our values. The more connected we are to our values, the happier we feel, the more fulfilled, the more deep peace, deep ease, deep joy, deep fulfillment we feel. And conversely, the more disconnected from our values, in other words, if we're not able to fulfill or achieve our values, if we are not able to, you know, um, engage living our values, we tend to feel frustrated, depressed, anxious, upset, lost, confused, etc., 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 right? Because values are what is meaningful personally to us. So if we can't live what is meaningful to us, we tend to have negative emotion, right? I hope that's pretty self-evident so far. So what we have right now in the world is a shift in context for all of us societally, in a broad scale level where, you know, all of a sudden, the way we were living is not the way we're living now. And because of that, the values we had for our lives may not fit the context we're in. So there might be this disconnect now between what it is we value and what it is that's possible or what makes sense inside of the context we're now in. So, for some people, they're well adapted to the current context, for whatever reason. Maybe their values are more personal to them and internalized rather than externalized. Maybe they're more introverted and more used to being self-sufficient. Whatever the reason, some people are better adapted because of their value system to this moment than others. So what we're seeing online, what I noticed through exploring values is that the further away that is, what tends to happen is if you can't get your values met or connected to, if you can't live your values, which are the things that are most meaningful to you, it's almost like over time they tend to just kind of fall away and just drop off, and you're just left with a longing for meaning that doesn't exist. And because that can be so painful to long for a meaning that you can't have, that it's almost like the brain down regulates and just switches off, and you stop caring about everything. So it's like, if I can't care about the things that I want to care about, I'm just going to not care. And I think that this is largely what causes depression, or at least a particular type of depression. I don't know if this is every depression, but I think at the heart of certain types of depression, you have just the nervous system switching off because there's nothing to care about, or the things that I want to care about, I can't care about for reason A, B, C, right? So I think that's kind of the territory we find ourselves in right now for a lot of people. So how do you remedy that? How do you fix that, right? There are a couple ways. So one way you could fix that would be to understand that every value system is an abstract ideal, right? So your highest values, whether it's truth or love, or let's use the example of connection to other people. That's a very common value. For a lot of people, if you only have one way to fulfill that value, and then that way gets blocked, so that sense of connection, right? If you only have one way to fulfill a sense of connection, and that is to socialize face to face, and now you can't socialize face to face, you're going to feel upset. You're going to feel lost. You're going to feel confused. But the more diverse in your strategies and the different ways that you move towards this central value of connection, the more likely you are to fulfill it, right? So if you can find other ways to feel connected, whether that is, FaceTiming, virtual hangouts online, gaming, hanging out that way, taking a walk with one person you feel safe with, reflecting internally. So maybe you can't be around anybody and you're self-quarantined right now. Reflecting internally on what it is you most appreciate about all the different people in your life. There are all kinds of different ways you might find to meet this one value of connection, just as an example here. So the more avenues you have to meet that need, or value, the more likely you are to meet it. So one way that you can solve this problem of feeling disconnected from your values and the kind of depression and the anxiety that might result from that would be to strategize new ways to meet your values. So that'd be point number one. Point number two would be to simply allow your value set to shift in the new context. So if you're in a new context and some of the things you used to do or used to care about, you just don't find yourself caring about anymore, then the question is, what is important to me now? What do I care about now? And allow yourself to reorganize and realign with a new value system. So a lot of times in these kind of contextual, rapid, big, broad shifts in society or culture, or, even more personally, just in life situation, we develop a new set of values. Now, if we move towards those new values, so if maybe I used to care about going out, being social, but now I care more about home life and family, for example, or I used to care about, getting the newest everything and being super cool with everything I buy, but now I care more about being frugal, simple, focused, financially safe. If you lean into those new values, they will provide you, again, with a sense of fulfillment. If you can honestly, authentically align with them and feel aligned with them, they will provide you with a sense of fulfillment and a deep sense of reward. So that's the other way you can go about feeling better. But the point I just want to convey here is that values are beautiful. Values are profound. Values create meaning in our lives. And we, as a nervous system, as a creature, we need meaning. We can't go without it. So they're central to being a human being. And because they're so powerful, they also make us vulnerable when we can't get them met. So I just want to kind of convey that to you in case you are struggling with feeling depressed or alone or frustrated or overwhelmed, and you kind of didn't know why. Maybe you're feeling lost. Maybe you're feeling kind of out of sorts. I would encourage you to look at your value set and look at if you're holding on to values that there's no way you can meet, or if you just haven't strategized ways that you could meet them, or if perhaps you've just had a value shift and you're not in touch with what your new values are. So I hope that serves you well. I hope you enjoy that, and I'll see you guys in the next video real soon. Oh, by the way, forgot, almost signed off without telling you. I have a new membership website that I'm creating. It should be launched mid-month here. In it, there's going to be this emotional, management, stress, anxiety management course for free for all members. You'll also be getting, all these tools. So I'll be creating a whole library for you of different kind of sessions you can go through and follow along with to do self-hypnosis or self-NLP work on what all kinds of these different issues and problems. So I'm going to have one for, social anxiety, one for general anxiety, one for depression, one for overwhelm, one for lack of motivation, one for blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to be making all kinds of content for all these different problem areas so you can go through, follow the sessions and start to heal yourself and start to shift out of these problems and come back to clarity, come back to center, come back to well-being. The whole thing all together for the membership to any courses I put up on the site, as well as this entire library, is only $30 a month. So if you can afford $1 a day for your own mental health, your own emotional well-being, your own growth, your own kind of self-actualization process, I strongly, highly recommend that you become a member. I think you'll get a lot out of it. And of course, I'll be taking feedback from you guys along the way and growing it and evolving it in the way that you want. So this is really your resource. So I hope that's of interest to you. Please let me know if it is. And if you like the video, if this hit home for you, please do me a favor. Help me grow my channel by liking, commenting, subscribing. Help the YouTube algorithm see that I'm creating work that is of interest to you, and help me to grow so I can continue to help more people. So I hope you're doing well. Take care, be well, and I'll see you guys soon.